So on Friday, it was reported that is it Cash Wheeler? Cash Wheeler was arrested because he was caught up in a road rage incident in which he flashed a handgun. When he was brought in, they kind of got to the bottom of it, and they said that it was a road rage incident. They said that he didn't actually pull the gun on him. He just kind of flashed the gun to this person that I guess he was having this incident with. However, he has a bond that's set at, I believe, $2,500. It does not ban him from leaving the country. It's just kind of like an ongoing case, I guess you can say. But obviously, this incident and the news of his arrest set the wrestling world on fire, because one of the matches that were announced for All In, and one of the most anticipated matches, was FTR versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And that was kind of in question and kind of in jeopardy. Now, the UK can ban him from entering the country, but I highly doubt that that's going to happen. But this is something on his, something that he has to deal with once he comes back to the States. I kind of wanted to know your take about it, how you felt about Cash Wheeler's arrest. And, now that we know that the match is still going to happen, what are your opinions on all of this happening?
I just also had to ask, was it confirmed that Tony knew about this, or he just now found out about this?
To be honest, I still don't know. I have to do a little bit of digging. I don't know if he knew about it per se. All we know is that apparently there was another gun-related incident pertaining to Cash Wheeler that Tony did not know about, but that Cash Wheeler knew about. But that's just an alleged thing. That's not necessarily concrete, set in stone type of situation, if that makes sense.
I just think both is terrible, whether he had known or did not know, just because I feel like he's currently holding the belts from my understanding, right?
Correct.
I just feel like the second a company puts that privilege to put the belt on you, it's not just a bonus in your check. You are chosen to be the representative of the company. And I feel like you should keep that in mind, whether you're on the clock, off the clock, doing media related stuff, how you carry yourself on social media. I feel like it's a 24-hour job to be a wrestler. And them going to London is huge. Them going international is huge. It's just an accomplishment for AEW. And I just feel as though if you knew that you are a champion, and I understand that, yeah, I get road rage too, people. I get angry. I curse people out before, you know what I mean? There's been times where I done threatened to swing on the road. It happens. But the idea of just even pulling out a gun, to me, is just wild. Because it's just in that moment, you put yourself above your company. You could have jeopardized that whole card. Potentially, you could have jeopardized more business plans working forward between Tony Khan, working international or whatnot. Because think about what if London just said, "Oh, we don't want this guy because we don't trust him. We don't want wrestlers infiltrating our countries that find it okay to pull out weapons on people and whatnot." I just feel like it's selfish, and it's a reflection of how Tony Khan has been running his daycare, hence the name, people. Because I feel like if there was a more intimidating boss, then there would have been parameters here to know what the fuck I can be doing and what I can't be doing, because it's going to jeopardize my job and or the company. It's a lack of respect for everyone involved, is what I feel like. So it's not just about the fact that he did potentially, threaten someone else's life by even flashing the gun, but it's just the idea that you really don't give a fuck about your opportunity with this belt. You don't respect your boss. I don't think you quite really respect this promotion, because now this 2 years in a row where the card almost felt like it was up in the air,
right? Because
of a wrestler feeling entitled. And I feel like a lot of the wrestlers that go to AEW like go through there because they feel like it's like a free land for them to do whatever the fuck that they want to do because Tony Khan is so nice and understanding, and at the end of the day he's a mark. He's more of a mark than a boss. So I just feel like people just be feeling like it's okay to do whatever the fuck. And I feel like Tony's response honestly should have been to take his ass right off the card. There's enough matches on the card that I feel like the rest of the show would like be amazing. You know what I mean? I don't think we necessarily needed that. I mean, the match itself would have been exciting to see, but I feel like if I was Tony, if I would have had enough. I would have had enough and used him as an example and might have either suspended or fired him because I feel like that locker room needs to be shooken up a little bit. I feel like everything that they do is almost like spilled milk. And that they don't think there's repercussions for their actions. So I'm pissed. I'm very much pissed. I don't think he should be going to London. But at the same time, Tony Khan's a businessman. So maybe in his head, he thinks that this is what the fans pay to see. I got to give them what they wanted to see. And maybe afterwards, you know, he might receive some punishment. But I feel like they need to bring back wrestlers' courts. I think motherfuckers need to get punished again. I think people should, to some weird degree, this is going to sound really fucked up, people. I see to some degree why Vince was punishing people on television. I totally see it now. Because motherfuckers just be doing whatever they want to do.
Fact.
And I be damned if someone gonna ruin my company because they're gonna put themselves above me. The hell, I'm paying you. I'm paying you. Why do I feel like I gotta clean up everyone else's messes around here?
Right.
Like Tony needs to grow a spine. Grow a spine, please. Like, give me the goddamn job. I'll straighten everybody the fuck out in 24 hours. All right, you're fired. You're fine. Take the belt off of you. You lost your match opportunity. Y'all, parameters are rules, people. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit hot.
That
Jordan,
was good.
how do you feel about this?
Nah, I don't mind at all because to be honest, I kind of echo your sentiment. The only thing that I don't echo is I feel like that's a match that should be on the card because of how it's been built over the last some odd years. The whole idea of a FTR Young Bucks trilogy is part of the reason why the FTR came to AEW in the first place, in order to have like these series of matches with these guys. I also just feel like this is something that fans in London would love to see. And I feel like it's part of what makes this event so special is that you're having arguably the biggest tag team match of all time with two of the most decorated tag teams of this generation in the biggest, can't believe I'm saying this with legitimacy, the biggest pro wrestling event of all time, if we're just basing it off of paid attendance records. So I do see the value in them having the match. However, I do believe that there needs to be parameters and punishment in place after this match takes place. I just, like you said, like this is kind of a reflection of how I believe the company is ran. And it's so interesting because, you know, we were in the group chat. Whitney was talking about the Usos and you know, their DUI and stuff like that. And I think that that's indicative of how WWE runs their company. But I think that this is kind of telling of how AEW runs their company. And in my opinion, if, you know, you're willing to let this slide, I think it's kind of indicative of the fact that you let so much slide and that so many people feel like, it's one thing to be like to have one too many drinks and think, okay, I just got to get home and I'll be all right. And then you get caught by the cops. It's another thing to, by choice, flash a gun to someone. It's like it wasn't even in self-defense. It wasn't even in self-defense. It wasn't even like somebody was backing out the grip on you. You just wanted to do a pride move. You just wanted your ego stroked and you wanted to show cats, yeah, I got it on me. And ooh, you know what? I wasn't gonna go here, but I'm gonna go here. It's so crazy how
go right
so
the fuck
crazy.
there. I'll meet you.
It's crazy, and I just find it funny that no one is. When this incident first happened, everybody's first instinct was to talk about, man, the match was ruined. But it wasn't a matter of, ooh, Cash Wheeler is uncivil. He's a degenerate. He's this, that, and the third. Let this have been Bobby Lashley. Let this have been Montez Ford. Let this have been a black wrestler. And we would not have heard the end of it. But I'm going to get back to my main point. I just feel like it's just interesting that it's one of those, he has a move, and guess what? We all do make mistakes. And I'm not saying that he's a bad person, that he has a bad character. I'm just saying the public response and the public reply to an incident like this speaks volumes about the culture of pro wrestling. And, I just think that he does need to be punished after all is said and done. I think that the Young Bucks are going to win anyway, especially since they just signed those big contract extensions. But like you said, these are things and incidents in which it jeopardizes the entire company. It jeopardizes the tag team division. It jeopardizes the product. It jeopardizes talks of an extension. It jeopardizes your relationship with your network. It jeopardizes your relationship with the rest of the roster based on how you treat this incident. And the fact that all of this is happening is, once again, as much as we kind of look down on the order that Vince, or the I would say the dictator like hand that Vince McMahon allegedly had on the locker room, you can see why he had that hand. It's because he knows that there needs to be a sense of order one way or another, and if you do not kind of if you're not intentional with how you instruct that order, or if you don't have any order at all chaos is going to break loose. I also think this is the first time where I agree with Eric Bischoff when he said that AEW is just WCW 2.0, because in WCW it was way less mild mannered and like on a much smaller scale, but you still have the inmates running the asylum. Whether we want to talk about WCW and how Hogan and Nash and Hall, God rest his soul, were having their way and doing what they wanted and how they wanted, what's the difference between that and this, in the sense of, you want guys to have creative control, but like they're using kind of, let me say this, it's different. I definitely see that it is different. However, it's the same root of the problem, which is that when you give people a sense of power, they exploit it. And I feel like that same thing that was happening in WCW, as far as the idea of wrestlers having a little bit of power and exploiting it, it's happening in AEW, just in in an unruly way. So that's how I feel about that. But I wanted to know.
I just want to interject real quick, because when you mentioned the whole, of course, because he's a white man, he could get away with this shit. It made me think about MJF's tweet that he said. And I just wanted to read it off to the listeners, just because I want to get your take on it out loud. So MJF decided to interject and put his thoughts about a situation that he was not part of.
Right.
And I thought it was just very telling. And just to piggyback off of what Jordan was mentioning earlier, he had to say the following, that he's kind of disappointed on how many dorks there are on this app that jump to conclusions so quick, and that a ton of people's privileges is showing that we're human, we're all flawed, we all make mistakes. Take it from a guy who's made more mistakes than Moe's. I had my ups and downs with FTR, but Cash Wheeler is a great dude and a badass. You're getting FTR versus Young Bucks in front of 80K plus on August 27th. Talk about that, you dweebs. I just find that insane for a couple of reasons. A, why did you interject yourself into this beef, sir? Like, it had nothing to do with you. I understand it's your friends and stuff like that, but like, he's also someone who's in a very high position. Sometimes I just feel like people need to just understand. The best thing to do in this situation is to just shut the fuck up in general, because you might also stop your bag as well, Mr. Maxwell, by even trying to open up your mouth. You have something to say?
Yes. Here's what I was going to say. I respect Maxwell's stance in the sense that he is the AEW world champion, and and because of that, it's alleged, or not alleged, but assumed that once you hold that world championship, you are in a sense a locker room leader. And I get that he wants to set the tone and like show grace and this, that, and the third. But this idea that like, oh, well, you dorks are just, and y'all are rushing to conclude. No. This is a public record. Bro got arrested, my boy. He got put in cuffs. The report is online. We're not rushing to any conclusions. Like, this is public information. He got arrested. He flashed a handgun. And when you are dealing with things like that, you run the risk of not leaving the country when you're caught in a case like that. And some countries do not tolerate that, right? Like, there are some countries that won't let you into their country if you do have a gun charge, aka Canada. Like, come on now. So it's just like, this is not about a rushing to conclusion type of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there. But we're going to talk more about this later in the week when we actually have a full blown show. But we want to know how y'all feel about this Cash Wheeler arrest. But we're going to be moving on.